Good morning. This is vacation video number 5. Okay, it's Erev Shabbos, and we are excited to learn Hilchos Talmud Torah, the Rambam, Parak Aleph, and we are on Halacha Yud Aleph. Okay, yesterday the Rambam had talked about who's obligated in Talmud Torah, and we said all Jewish men, no matter what situation they're in, and they are obligated to learn Torah until the day they die. And now the Rambam says how each day's Talmud Torah should look like, and what should you be learning. Right, so the Rambam says, this is Halacha Yud Aleph, so whatever time he sets aside, morning and night, every day to learn, that's his obligation, he should split up his learning into 3 different parts. Shlish b'Torah shebechtav, 1/3 in the written Torah. Shlish b'Torah shebal peh, 1/3 in Torah shebal peh. Okay, and now here's the interesting thing. And a third, listen to this, Yavin v'yaskel achris davar marishiso. 1/3 should be spent learning. Now, there's a couple parts to this. Learning the end of something from its beginning. V'yotzei davar midavar, and how one thing leads to another. V'damer davar davar, and comparing one thing and seeing how they're similar to a different thing. V'yavin midos hashatar nedreshes behen, and understanding how extrapolate laws from the Torah shebechtav, right, into Torah shebal peh, how those laws are developed. So until we understand how the halachic system works, how something becomes mutter and something becomes asr, forbidden and permissible, and all those types of things, how the halachic system operates. We'll call this in one word, the mechanics of the halachic system, and that's what a third should be spent on. And that last third is called Gemara. So let's go over it again. 1/3 in Torah shebechtav, right, in Tanakh, 1/3 in Torah shebal peh, so that's the facts of Torah shebal peh, that's the halachos, right, that we learn, the dinim, and then 1/3 in what we call Gemara, which isn't the physical book of the Gemara, right, the Gemara does do this, which could be why we tend to call Talmud the Gemara, but really what Gemara is what we call lumdus, analyzation, right? Learning one thing from another, understanding the mechanics of the halachic system. That's what we're referring to here. Okay, so 1/3 on Tanakh, 1/3 on the laws of Torah shebal peh, and just the simple facts, and 1/3 on the lumdus, learning the mechanics of the halachic system, how it operates. Okay, and the Rambam goes on in Halacha Yud Beis. Ketzad, right? So how does this work that you split up your learning into third? Right. So the Rambam is now going to go into the ideal day of somebody who's interested in learning Torah. Haya ba'al umnus, right? Let's say you have a job, you're a water carrier, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor, whatever you are. V'haya osik b'malach tel shal shals b'yom. Okay, so you work for 3 hours a day. That's how much you're supposed to work. Torah tesha, and you should be learning Torah for 9 hours a day. Osan ha-tesha nikra b'shalosh mehen b'torah shebechtav v'shalosh b'torah peh u'v'shalosh acheres mesuva midaita lahavin davar midavar v'divrei kabbalah b'chlal torah shebechtav hein. Okay, so the Rambam says, actually, let's go a little slower. So he says, in those 9 hours, that you should be spending in that third that we talked about, a third in Torah shebechtav, a third in Torah shebal peh, and a third in understanding one thing from the other. Now the Rambam says, with divrei kabbalah b'chlal Torah shebechtav hein. Divrei kabbalah is not like what we call like the Kabbalah Center and all this ridiculous stuff that we think there's like an actual mystical side to the Torah and we call Kabbalah. That's all we're referring to, not the Torah's hanistar. But he says, with divrei kabbalah b'chlal Torah shebechtav hein, he's talking about simple traditions that we have, that we understand, that's going to fit into Torah shebechtav. Uparation b'chlal Torah shebal peh, but their understanding of what it's talking about, that's Torah shebal peh. V'anyinan hanikrin pardes b'chlal hagamar. Now, what we call this Torah hanistar, there's secrets aspects to the Torah. It's not that secret, but just that you have to understand all of Torah shebal peh and Torah shebechtav first, and understand Gemara. Then you can go on to pardes, right, which is this secret stuff. That is only for the highest. That's part of Gemara. But now this whole schedule of splitting things up into a third, that's only when a person begins learning Torah. But when he gets great in wisdom, when he doesn't need to get the facts down pat, he doesn't need to keep studying Torah shebechtav. And as he understands Torah shebechtav, he understands the psukim, he understands the stories, he's got it down pat, right? and he no longer has to really study Torah Sheba'al Peh so much. He understands how halacha works, right? So then Yikra Beitim Bizmanim Torah Shebechtav V'Divrei Hashmua Kedei Shelo Yishkach Davar Midivrei Dinei Torah V'Yifne Koyamav L'Gemara Bilvad. Right, so then at that point, once he's already wise, he shouldn't spend his time on Torah Shebechtav al Torah Sheba'al Peh. Rather, he should spend almost all of his time, a little time just to review on the first two, on Torah Shebechtav and Torah Sheba'al Peh, but he should be spending almost all of his time on this third category of Gemara. All according to how much he's able to think and analyze. Okay, so in other words, this whole idea of splitting your time into three is only the beginning of your learning. But once you really have everything down pat, and once you really truly understand everything, and you have the facts down pat, then you should be spending most of your time on lumdis, on analyzing the Gemara. My question to you today is, and I cannot wait to hear your responses, and I'm so proud of everybody that's been watching these videos and sending stuff in. It's amazing that we don't take a break from Torah learning, and even when the school mandates that we cannot come into school, they lock the doors on us, we can't learn, you insist on learning Torah. It's amazing. So then I'm very proud of you. This is the answer I'd like you to say, which is as follows. I'd like you to give me the answer to the question of why is it that lumdis, that analyzation of the Gemara, is so much more important than getting the facts down pat. Especially if we think for ourselves that we've learned that in Halacha Beis that the entire point of learning is in order to do. So then it would seem that it's more important to get the facts down pat than the mechanics. Why is it the Rambam says that after you get the facts down pat, then you should be spending most of your time on the mechanics and understanding how it operates and the analyzation and the lumdis? That's my question. Can't wait to hear your answers. Have a great Shabbos.